Good morning. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie. This morning we got quite a bit of news, a lot of that we're not hearing on the mainstream media. That's what I try to do. I try to pull all the stuff that you're not going to hear on mainstream media. Um, there's some things we do, and like some of the shooter stuff, and some things we don't. We did get hit with a strike this morning, and they said I would be suspended for 7 days. I am asking that it did happen on Investigator News 2. I am asking that if you are on Investigator News 2 and don't have Investigator News Network, please add it. Uh, we're only, I think, a strike away again from being pushed to our second channel. So be sure to add Investigator News Network. So, good morning to Karen. Karen's our moderator, and I think Karen likes our morning show. She's showing up a lot for it, and I'm seeing little laughy faces out of her. And welcome, Linda in Illinois. We do. I do talk to my chat room. This is something that I do a lot, and it's something different that a lot of news shows don't do. So get in our chat room and say hello, or put it in the comments below if you're over in Facebook. And yeah, they said we got taken, but they're letting me still run. I think it's because I put in an appeal. I told them to take another look because I know it's on the Clinton stuff, and I know my Clinton stuff, and I've got stuff to back it up. I got the documents, so we'll see. We'll see. All right, so Highland Park suspects. Boy, they're not letting this one die out. His dad talked to him right before. He said he had a conversation about mass shootings the night before he allegedly committed these crimes. He said he believed that to have opened fire on a crowd of Independence Day on parade, on the day parade. During the interview, he said he walked through the police walked through the final conversation he had with his son. He said he talked to him about 13 hours before the Monday's massacre. That's why I guess I'm such in shock, he said. Like, did he have a psychiatrist or a break or something? And he said he didn't say anything. He didn't respond to that. What he did respond to was he went on to speculate the average mass shooter intentions, his father said. But people like commit mass shootings to amp up people that want to ban all of the guns, is what he said. And he was very upset about that. He said when he seen what he had done, he said it was chilling. Now, the police did confiscate a sword, a dagger, and 15 knives from the suspects. It didn't say. They just they took it away from him. They confiscated it. So his dad is very shocked. They make me like I groomed him to do all of this, is what the father said. I've been here my whole life, and I'm going to stay here. Hold my head up high because I didn't do anything wrong. So his dad don't claim no responsibility for this. Dahmer's parents said the same thing. And really, they couldn't find anything on the parents with Dahmer. They seem like really good folks. What happens when your children go awry? It could be school, it could be friends, it could be just things that they listen to for music. There's many things. It's not always the parents' fault. And sometimes the parents are the last to know. So anyway, we're going to move on. I don't want to spend too much time on the Highland Park. Now they're saying that I did hear that is a bad neighborhood, and that they really shouldn't have parades there. But it's good for the people. It's good for to lighten their heart up. And see, that's what I've been saying in all these inner cities, is that they need something besides a basketball court. Come on. What happens with all that money? that these cities get to upgrade or to make it better, and they don't put the money into the kids. They took all the playgrounds out because gangs took over them, is what the gangsters are saying, and because they graffiti them up and they break it, so they give them basketball courts. And you know what's a 2-year-old going to do with a basketball court? All right, onward. Experts hint at upcoming gas price changes after a sudden shift. Um, Gas prices might be on the brink of falling a bit after the price of U.S. crude fell on Tuesday. Gas futures fell more than 10% on the same day. Overall, futures are down more than 22% since June. This is according to The Hill. Meanwhile, U.S. Texas Intermediate, which the oil benchmark for American oil prices, ended on the day Tuesday with an 8.2% lower. Um, so the price fell to 99.07 per barrel. While that price has gone up, see, they said they would give us that until November. Well, now it's gone up, back up to 102 per barrel. Initially, the fall of the future had people optimistic, but now they went ahead and switched it back. Now, who did this? We're on the cusp of seeing more savings. And this is according to the head of petroleum analysis, a gas price tracking site, GasBuddy. The Hill reported. I'm trying to be a little bit more optimistic here. If this relief could make its way to the pumps in the week ahead. Overall, the national gas has gone down with a recent high of $5 a gallon. So it will fluctuate back and forth. With the national gas average at $4.75 a gallon, the prices could keep falling, they say, but they don't think so. We're talking 60 cents a gallon, according to Columbia University. Now, of course, it takes time to have crude price flow through the gasoline price. Meanwhile, if it does fall, they say that they're going to add this Putin tax increase, and that could put it right back to where it was. So, yeah, they gave extra fuel to Europe. Yeah, I know. And they gave it to Hong Kong too. Everybody but us. Everybody but us. But you know what? The Democrats are getting fed up with Biden now. More and more, his staff members are leaving. Just like it's turned into like Kamala Harris, where staff members are just quitting. They're not even going on to be anything in the State Department or any other state jobs. They're just out now quitting and walking away. I think they're fed up with this administration. They had high hopes. You guys remember his speech that he made after he was president? The hopes for the future and how things, they were going to make things better and they were going to unite us. All of that was just hogwash. You got to really watch what they say and the promises they make. Because the Biden administration even promised China, the Uyghurs, that they would do something. We heard about that yesterday, and they didn't keep their promise. And I think that's what we have a lot of with this administration, is they made a lot of promises they couldn't keep. And then I really don't think the people that they're putting in office are correct for the jobs. I don't mean the way they look or the way they talk or the way their hair is, or I'm talking experience. And I reported on this probably about a month or two ago, where they are putting people in that have no clue of what their job is. They don't train them. They put them down and say, do it. And these people have no experience in this field. And then they expect them to produce miracles. And of course, these people aren't doing it. Now, I would be fed up too if they put me in a job I didn't understand and then get mad at me and blame me for it. No, um, that's just not how it works. Uh, you know, the other thing is we are looking at the most radical people they could ever put in office, and they're going into these jobs not knowing anything. They didn't go to school for it. They're expecting them to be economists when they're not. And that's sad. That's very sad. And I think it's a shame to the people that get put in those positions. Even though they're radicals, I don't like them, but it's still a shame that they do that to these people. It's almost like someone they could blame and burn to, so they won't have to take responsibility. Um, yeah. Um, well, you know, he's been in office for over 40 years and he's never passed anything. He never, everything that he, um, I think that's why my, um, now I'll have to read Susan's thing here. Um, the the thing about Biden is he's never really passed anything. He's been kind of the 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 ones that Nancy Pelosi goes to get the vote, saying, "Hey, can I get you in on this? This is what I want," and they say, "Oh yeah, sure, I'm all for that." That's what Bernie Sanders and Biden is all about. They're just the people that will go ahead and agree with Nancy Pelosi to get something passed. Um, he really wasn't a stand-up kind of guy. Even in his prime in the 70s and 80s, he was a tag along to Senator Byrd or Senator Reid. Um, he would hang out with the Speaker of the Houses, almost like he was trying to charm them. He stole speeches. He's never been anything. Like my dad said, look at this fool. Um, my dad couldn't believe how Biden acted in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. So, all right, Susan, what do we got here? We need to start getting on the phone and sending emails to all Republicans that they won't have a job if this continues. We will continue to make the change at I can't say that word. I don't know what else we can do. Um, keep an eye on who's who in your community, Susan. And that's what I say to everybody. You got to know who your judges, your district attorneys, and what affiliates they are. Now, they get angry if you ask them, but you know what? We have a right to know because look at what's going on in these cities with crime. If we don't know who these people are and start listening to your city council meetings, most of them are on your local cable thing, and you can get them on YouTube. Start listening to what they're doing, what they're passing, because if you don't know, um, it'll come up in your face, and all of a sudden they're going to be allowing radicals to protest in your streets, and it's going to be allowed. It's going to be allowed, and you're going to say, well, city council said it was okay. Half your city councils are radical Democrats, and they're all for it. And you know, we don't know if you can even question your city council. Did they go and get a permit to do this? You have a right to know, and they're supposed to have a permit in order to protest or even riot. They say rioting is protesting, just more of a aggressive form. Um, but we've got to keep track, and we've got to keep what's going on in our cities and states on the up and up. And I really think that, you know, we look at this country as a whole, and some states do things that we don't agree with. We just can't allow it in our states. That's where I think we need to be stronger to get officials into our own state that are going to be on the up and up. Because then when they go to Washington, then they're going to vote for what you want. It's going to be different. Some of them do this, but a lot of them don't. They go in and they have their own opinion, their own reasoning. Forget about who voted. Forget about what the people in their district wants, and they just go and do what they want. And a lot of Democrats do that. Look at Cheney. Um, she does it all the time. She's not even with our party. She's with the Democrats, and the people should be calling her office or even showing up at her office and saying, why aren't you doing what we want? It's we the people that vote you in. It's we the people that pay your check. It's we the people that matters. So, okay. Onward. Does that make sense, Susan? Does that make a lot of sense? So, um, okay, the Fed's report finds 75% of the 800 billion payback checks protection programs didn't reach the employees. Study found that taxpayers shelled out $4 for every one in wages and benefits received by workers by the PPP. You guys remember that when it was going Trump to Biden? They mentioned the PPP program and how much money was going to go into it, and it would go to the right people. Well, we're looking at 800 billion didn't reach anybody. So where'd that money go? Yeah. And this was done by the Federal Reserves did this. They found the PPP didn't support jobs at a risk of disappearing and money flowed disappropriately to wealthier households. Huh. So, here, let's tax the rich. Remember that? So the PPP um, saved about 3 million jobs at its peak in the second quarter, but it distributed 800 billion well within 2 years of the pandemic. But it was poorly targeted. Most of 3/4 of the benefits went to unintended recipients, including business owners, creditors, and suppliers, rather than to the workers. So you see what they just did? Yeah, it went to big business. You remember all the big businesses that jumped in and got theirs and they shouldn't have? And of course, they didn't pay it back. So, good morning, Judith. And good morning over there to those in Facebook watching. So, all right. So, 75% of that didn't make it to the right people. It went into the hands of the rich and the corporations and the bigger businesses. And, what else did it say that I didn't like? Um, let's see. Creditors. Why should it go to a creditor and suppliers? That's not what that was for. It was for the people that were working. It was a paycheck, extra paycheck, so they would be able to um, pay their bills. Why would it go to creditors? I mean, business owners is one thing, and corporations, no. Business owners, I can see. Creditors, no. Suppliers, no. And it went to them instead of the workers. Oh boy. Grand theft labor, boy. There we are. Feds paid 78 billion in errant fraudulent job benefits in 2021 alone. The Labor Department believes that nearly one out of every $5 in unemployment benefits is fraudulent. It's unjustified. The record failure is it violates federal payments integrity law, and taxpayers got more than 78 billion that we paid for people that shouldn't have gotten it. Um, so people that went out and filed for unemployment, and then it was only supposed to allow X amount of weeks. And what they did is they extended it and they extended it and extended it. And come to find out, they shouldn't have extended it on quite a few people, that they should have went ahead and looked for work. Well, so now look at what we just lost. So not only, I mean, just look at the last two, this story and the one before that. We lost 800 billion. Now we've lost another 78 billion. That's $878 billion was improperly used. Now, who are they going to burn for this? Who are they going to go after and say, you're responsible for this and you're going to pay for it? Because it's against the law. There's laws against this. Um, so who went to jail? Nobody. Nobody. Yeah. A fraudulent jobless benefits in 2021 alone. Can you imagine what they've done since January of this year before they got caught? And why? Why? It kept people from going and looking for work. That's what it did. It kept people from looking for work because they didn't want to work. Um, they are on the welfare, they're on the food stamps, and I'm not putting down people that really do need this. There's too many people out there right now that need the welfare, need the food stamps that aren't getting it. Because why? Well, they make $2 too much, according to their, if it's 358 that you can make in a paycheck, well, they make 340. Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to disqualify you for anything. And then that's what they do. And they don't send them to places in town that could help them, like um, we call it CAPCA here, where they help you with your electric bills, they help you with your rent, they help you with getting food, they give you vouchers to go get food at some of these food depots. And, so we get these people that are getting unemployment that shouldn't even be getting unemployment. And are they working? Are they working under the table? Because if they work under the table and they don't list it on their unemployment stuff, then they get money working under the table, and then they get their unemployment check. That's very, very illegal. And I'm getting fed up with these feds. So, um, all right. 900-pound, oh boy. 900-pound Hummer EV pollutes more than a gas-powered Chevy Malibu. Where's Randy with the Chevy Malibu? And that's what they're finding out. That because of, they pointed out, because electric vehicles do not spew carbon dioxide doesn't mean they don't have any environment impact. Yes, they do. Upstream emissions. And that's what basically upstream emissions. So, an EV owner that charges his or her car, it comes from electric grid power by fossil fuels. And because of that, the weight of the batteries, the emissions per mile driven are lower for EVs than gas powered cars, but they are not. They're not at zero. So basically, they compared it to a Chevy Malibu, which tips the scales at 900 pounds. The Malibu comes out the winner in emissions, though, with 320 grams of emissions per mile against 341 grams of the Hummer EV. So, we're going to start seeing all this. I just don't like to catch on fire. Or what's the other one? The airbags explode. And what about the right turn Clyde? The car, all of a sudden, you go to make a little bit of a change in your steering wheel to go to the right. It makes a sharp right hand turn, and it just goes. There's no stopping it. So as we're seeing problems with these EV vehicles. Um, oh boy, one little lie from Hillary. Well, she tells big lies. Um, they must have um, missed what this is a well-known thing of Hillary. She says, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave. When first we practice to deceive." I have heard that so much out of her here in Arkansas. She didn't say it as much after they went, but they have struggled for the truth their entire lives. Um, you remember Hillary's Bosnia under sniper fire, or her um, the whole thing with Monica Lewinsky and against Bill tried to smuggle his DNA onto Monica Lewinsky's dress or something like that. Um, you can't change them too. They have been doing this since I think they were born. I think they came out crooked. Um, the the thing about it is now Hillary wants to go after Clarence Thomas um, because of um, little things he did. Okay, little things. Um, and I what got me when I was reading over some of these articles was, President Bush put him in, and after that, it was like everybody was attacking him just because of Bush. Well, now, isn't Hillary and them good friends with Bush? Why would they go after someone that's one of their friends? And now Hillary appeared on CBS Morning to basically say that her encounters with Thomas during their attendance at Yale, um, well, I don't remember her ever going to the same um, law school. I don't remember them two at the same school at the same time. That's something I probably would have caught. But, it's something that she thinks she knew. And she says, um, even though she knew Thomas, she perceived him as a person's of grievance, and uh, that he was never a strong type of person. He was always weak and let people run him over. Why didn't she say this back then? I like how Hillary Clinton, and she does this a lot, folks, is she'll see someone come out in the public and she'll say, "Oh, well, she knew all this stuff about him." And then when you look and you fact check her, it doesn't fact check out. So anyway, um, uh, boy, I've got stuff on her tonight. I tell you what, you guys are going to be in for a good show tonight. I'm going to do a little bit more on documents of the boys on the track, but a little bit more on the Clintons of some of the documents that showed that even Comey should have had Hillary arrested. So that'll be tonight. So let's get away from Hillary for now. But one little lie always leads to more. And she's good at it. And now that Clarence Thomas is in the spotlight, she's now calling him weak, and that she went to school and she's seen he was weak. But I don't know. Maybe someone will prove me wrong and say that, yeah, they did go to the same college. But she wouldn't have paying no mind to him. She was more into FALN and the protesting back then. She was big on protesting. All right, we could be seeing higher meat prices. Um, Livestock producers have a warning. They said with the livestocks they have lost due to the warm weather, and not only that, but they are on the verge of completely running out of grain because they feed hay and alfalfa and oats and everything to these cattle, and they said rail bottlenecks in many supply chains throughout the U.S., and livestock owners have complained they're on the verge of completely running out. Feed users in California and the Southwest have issued sourcing of grain. Um, they're also concerned about rail issues that could grow worse for this fall harvest. Um, what they're hearing is seems to be the trains that aren't able to get it there fast enough. And not only that, but from the farmer um, to the delivery of this. It's got to be trucked and it's got to be put on a train and then shipped. And that's what they're finding out. And they said so in the last several months, they've been able to get some feed, but sometimes it's being put off for days and sometimes a week. And so they're looking for other avenues for their grain. They said this hit um, just after the pandemic and that things got worse. And then when the shortages came, it became even more worse. So food prices have already increased and they hate to see of where it's going within the next few months. They said they were this last quarter was 9.4% higher. Um, and they said overall, we could be looking at a 10.8% um, on this by September. So that's like a 1% jump. So, but it's only on the cattle and the meat. So look at the cost of meat going up a lot more again. You know, they keep saying that everything's going to go down, the gas go down. They're fixing it, they say. But as we see, it keeps going up and up. Even the GDP, I believe, yeah, gross domestic product. Um, it was at what, 8 point, and then it went to 8.3. It went to 8.6. And what I'm hearing from the economists, it's almost at 9 right now, which means the costs aren't going down, the costs are still going up. There hasn't been a stoppage. So every day you go to the grocery store, you might see things up. Let's say a box of cereal for like $3. It'll be 3.5, and next time you go, it's going to be 3.06. And next time, it'll be a little bit more, a little bit more. And so basically, that's why they're saying we're going into a recession. Is the fact that the food costs aren't going down. Everything's still going up. It hasn't stopped. Um, so hopefully we can get what I'm hoping is the farmers will step forward and help out the local cattle industry because that's the only way. And this even says it in the article that they are going to have to depend on more farmers to help with giving them or selling them the grains that they need. Oh boy. Um, Um, Now, I know it's all over the news this morning about the Japanese Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, that was shot. Um, and of course, he was somebody that Trump was very close to. Um, they say that he was 67 years old. And not only that, but he was alive when they took him to the hospital, but passed shortly after. So they're going to be looking for a new Japanese prime minister within the next few days. Um, do I suspect anything? I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait 24 hours or so and see what we hear on this. And hopefully, does anybody know in chat if they caught the guy yet? They, as far as I knew, early this morning, they hadn't. Wait a minute. Here's an update. Um, Suspect arrested in shooting a former Japanese. Just when I said it, the thing pops up for it. All right, here we go. Um, the suspect in the reported shooting has been arrested and reported. It's in Japanese. Okay, this will be fun. Um, let's see. Um, I don't see anything, and I got a lot of Japanese writing here, so it could have his name. Um, no, it just says there was somebody arrested. That's all they have is a very short report. Is a suspect in the reported shooting of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been arrested, and that was according to NHK News. And like I said, the rest is in Japanese for me, so I won't know. Um, uh, so Okay, so Mary says yes, he was caught. The only one I got was the one that popped up on me, and it's a lot of it's in Japanese. So I don't read Japanese. I have to put it through my translator. Um, so we do have somebody that has been arrested for that. Um, uh, now, this happened a few days ago. Biden's communications director is calling it quits. Now, what I heard from my sources there, that there's quite a few in the communication director and the people that are working under her. It wasn't just her; it was a bunch of them that got mad and quit. But not only that, in the inner offices of the Biden administration, after she quit, about three or four more uh, quit. And then there has been shoutings and fights going on in the Senate part of the Capitol. Um, and what they told me was there's quite a few that they want them to, some of the aides to go over and help, and they're refusing to. And so now we're having senators and their aides and some of their staff quitting because they don't want to go over there and work with Biden. So that this is a lot of friction and a lot of drama over there, not only at the Capitol, but even at the White House itself. Um, and you know what's really interesting, folks, is we now have the green activists are using businesses to bypass Congress and to end fossil fuels, and what they want to do is they're trying. The environmentalists are now targeting oil and gas industry through financial movement that pressures companies to support liberal policies. And the ESG is promotes and implements policies through private businesses. Now, this new ESG thing that's coming out could it help them do the Green New Deal if it didn't make it through Congress. So they have shifted to going after them through capital markets and at the state level and sometimes the city level to take some of these companies out. And it's allowed. It's definitely allowed. Um, so now this group um, are now deciding that they're going to stop them from doing this, saying it's basically unconstitutional. So this group has got together, and this isn't the only group that's got together to go after the Biden. It seems like there's been quite a few. Um, the good government groups are asking states to stop Biden's, um, it's the word again, the VOTE thing. He was trying to make changes to laws for each of the states for the VOTE. Um, and he was able to. Well, now this good grievance government group has stopped it. And this isn't the first thing. Um, Now, we found out also this morning that a group, Litigation Blizz, is seeking records for all of the Biden administration's appointees, the ones that aren't qualified for those positions. This is where I was talking about this morning or earlier during this cast. So we not only we're having smaller groups now that are backed by the GOP that are going after the Biden administration. Now, this is good news because we've been hearing that the GOP hasn't done anything. Well, not only that, but then we had Grassley and even, I don't like Senator Graham, but the two of them have hooked up now to go after them on some legal issues that they have done um, as far as January 6th goes, but also dealings in Ukraine that shouldn't have been done, and it should have went through Congress first. So um, what it did was now Biden was basically he wants to double down on to fund Europe's safety. for borders. They want to do a border wall. Well, some of these groups now are going after him for it because he wants a wall of protection for Ukraine against Russia. They want to pay. They want us to pay for this. Um, they want a wall in between Ukraine and all of like Finland and Sweden. Anything that touches Ukraine, they think there needs to be a wall of protection um, because they don't know which area that Russia will come at them. They're also asking for um, some type of toll, or he's trying to pass it so Russia can't use um, uh, the ports or the seas that connect um, in that space, like where Mariupol and Odessa is. Well, he's been firing upon Odessa, so now they want us to pay for um, some type of security that keeps Putin from blocking the trade, the free trade, or the trade. I'm sorry. Um, um, and then the appeals court blocked. Here's another one. This is all good news, folks. The appeals court blocks the release of criminal illegals back into the country. Biden was trying to do that this at the beginning of this week. He was trying to make it so if they're locked up, they can be released like the rest of them. But no, the appeals court blocked Biden's release program. Um, now the and I give you a bunch of good stuff. Now I'm going to really give you something bad. The sanctuary state of New Jersey creates 60 million slush funds for illegal aliens. Um, and oh boy, I tell you, um, because it's a sanctuary state, and so it has created 60 million slush fund for about 100,000 illegal aliens, according to the Republicans. Um, the budget allows Murphy to allocate 300 million from the state share of the pandemic recovery funds without needing a legislative agreement, which it should go to their joint budget oversight committee for their state, but they're not doing it. They're not going and voting it on it in their individual state legislators, but what they're doing is they're just cutting them out and they're going ahead and giving it to them as leftovers from the pandemic. Well, what happens with the next pandemic? Is what I said. Aren't we going to need that money? Well, no, if they don't use it, they won't send them anymore. So if they use it, they'll continue to get more funding. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm paying for wars. We're paying for inner cities. Get your inner cities out of your states. Get them out. That is a haven for criminals. Um, I mean, California, that was one of the big things I heard when I was just visiting back there, is these inner cities is a haven for criminals. Um, yeah, I heard that one too, but I think he says a lot of everything. I don't think anybody's agreeing with him. And who was it that somebody said it's like throwing spaghetti on the wall? I don't know who does that, but um, they're not getting anywhere. They're at a stage of meltdown, folks. Uh, they are grasping at every last straw they can grasp. And when they're pulling straws, they're finding them broken and bit. Um, they have nothing else to fight for. Um, the thing with Biden trying to change laws in each one of the states to protect him being in office, that's failed. They tried to do away with the ID, showing ID. Well, that's failed. That's blowing up in their face. State after state after state is coming through saying they want IDs. They want people to carry IDs because you can go in and get um, just a simple ID. You don't need a driver's license. You just get an ID. And what's wrong with that? For even the police to know who you are. Anywhere you go, you got to have ID. You go to the bank, they want to look at it. You go to some doctor's offices, even ask for them. and get a copy of your ID. That just shows you just a simple doctor's office. So, but get your sanctuary cities out of your states. This is only going to bring in money that can be misused by the cities of on how much they use towards these illegals and what it's used for, because some of it is even being used to for bailouts out of jails and prisons. Oh yeah, the beggars. Oh yeah, don't give them that. Give them oranges. Give them an orange. That's what I say. If get this, they have them here that and boy, we're off topic here when we were talking about money. Um, they stay at these homeless camps, and then they get in a car and they all take turns using the same car. They'll park it and they'll walk out and they'll get all this money and they make $100, $200 a day, and then they go back and either use it on alcohol or drugs, and then they're good. They go out and eat a nice dinner. They have clothes, nice clothes, brand new shoes. Look at the shoes. If they got brand new tennis shoes on, don't give them no money. There's too many people you can help, and with the local churches, go to your local church and see if there's a family in need. And normally there is, and they are more than happy for you to help. And it don't have to be money. Sometimes they're looking for diapers, or they're looking for baby clothes, or what about blankets for the elderly, a fan for the elderly. Don't give to those guys on the streets. Go to your local churches and ask them, or even call the local church and say, "Hey, do you have a program that I can give to help someone in your church?" So yes, do it that way. All right, I need to get through here. um, um, Ratcliffe, he is worried about BlackRock. Now, William, me and you've mentioned BlackRock, and it's into a lot of what's going on with our banking system. And now, this, if you guys don't know, you guys remember who John Ratcliffe was? He was the DNI intelligence. Um, he was in charge of it for a while under Trump. And he is saying that the Biden administration is one of the worst when it comes to it, ignoring warnings from the FBI director or the threat of China. Now, the biggest one that they are warning them about is BlackRock. And they say because it is collaborating with Chinese Communist Party on soft on China more than anyone. And unless the Biden administration approaches China with the right mindset, China is going to continue to be aggressive and bully them. Not only that, but they are working closely with China on business dealings that affect our trade. And they say they intend to dominate economy, technology, military, and willing to spy and steal and lie and cheat their way to superiority. So this BlackRock is not a good thing. And hearing it from Ratcliffe really helps back us up on this. Um, they're huge into a little bit of everything. You heard me say economically, they're one of the biggest um, part of the banking in Britain for the big World Bank over there. BlackRock is huge CEO and participant to it. It's also was known to be part of Cyprus until Cyprus got caught money laundering. BlackRock has been one of the biggest companies that have been slowly taking over that nobody hears about. So, um, what's a Wawa? What's Wawa? WAWA? That was Karen that did that one. Karen, you're going to have to answer that question because I didn't say it. All right. What's a Wawa, Karen? All right, China tells Japan to get used to the routine military threats. They're going to start doing, they say, flyovers and sorties to Japan. They're also going to be surrounding their navy. They say get used to it if you're going to back up Taiwan with military backing as far as military equipment or even support. That they get used to the routine military threats. Um, and then now we have got now I'm not sure why this is going on, but Brazil is seeks 2.7 billion investment for lithium production, and they said they need it for their country to become better, and that they would like to get a hold of lithium to be able to build and keep up with the rest of the country. Um, North Korea has admitted that they are now going to be pro-Russian, and they are going to. Kim Jong Un even said that if Putin needs military backing, as far as troops, tanks, or anything, that they are willing to help Russia. So now North Korea has joined up with Iran and China and others to back up Russia on what's going on over there with the Ukraine Russia war. Putin claims the war is just beginning, though. He says that this could go on for years. This could go on for years. Um, and that with the United States and wanting to put boots on the ground and wanting to fight conventionally in a war, and now that the not only does Ukraine getting a lot of military might, but now it has its air force finally together, and they are now starting to use the Ukrainian air force to fight up against the Russian pilots. Um, so, oh boy, so I got lost there. Um, the other thing is Zelensky is going to meet with Graham and Blumenthal. Now, Graham has been there. Graham was there in 2015 to talk to Zelensky in private with Leahy, and I don't think it was Schiff, Adam Schiff, and now he's going back again with Blumenthal. The problem I got with this is he's going with Democrats. Now, I don't know. I've not read anything, and I dug into it a little bit this morning. If each one of the parties have got to go, no, they don't. They take who they want to be in company with to get certain things done. Because Nancy Pelosi will go over to countries on her own with just Democrats. And sometimes she'll throw in a Republican, but for the most part, she doesn't. So now we have Zelensky meeting with Graham and Blumenthal. Um, and I think it's too late into it. I don't think there's going to be much. Zelensky is asking for more money, more military might at this point, and said that they have run out, and in order for them to keep fighting, they're going to need military might and money coming back um, into the country and into his war. The problem is everything is going to Germany. So, so he really needs to be talking to Germany and find out, is there anything left? And if there is, send it this way. So, let's see. Now, Putin has dared the Western allies for a face-off in Russia on the battlefield, and they're talking in Donbass. And I never thought he would dare the United States into on the ground war, but I guess that's what it is. I think he's now thinks that it's gone into a new phase. I know me and William talked about the third phase. Now, I think this is going into a totally new phase to where Putin now says, okay, if we're going to have a war, we're just going to shoot back, forth, back and forth, back and forth. No, if you're going to call this a war, then come on, let's just make this a real war. And that's what I'm reading. And that's what I'm hearing from Putin at this point, that he is now telling the United States and NATO that this will be a war. This war will last 4 years. Is this what you really want? And if we're going to have a war, it's going to be a war. And I had to take it back and listen to him a few times. And did he really say that? If you want a war, it better be a real war. I thought that's what was going on over in Ukraine. But with the no-fly zones, and now Ukraine has their Air Force, like I've mentioned, they're shooting down Russian planes, and now Ukraine feels they're almost up to par to where they can fight a war. Well, Putin basically is said no, they don't have what it takes to fight a war. They're too small of a country, and that negotiations would be best. But if NATO's going to push it, then it's take Ukraine out. Yeah, he's not joking. Yeah, he says take Ukraine out of the fraction, and it will be NATO and the United States having a war with Russia. Quit trying to put Ukraine in the middle and of something that has nothing to do with the Westerns. I'm trying to get this right on this as I'm reading this, and that if they're going to keep a military might going, that it's not coming from the EU, it's coming from the United States. And they said sometimes very small portions is coming from EU or NATO or some other countries like Canada and Britain. But for the most part, it's coming from the United States. And the United States said they will be there for however long it takes. Putin said, come on, but let's make this a war. So, yeah, he's not joking, folks. William's got got it in the room in chat that he's not joking. So, as it looks, it's going to be further on. We're going to be looking at years. And I think Putin is just, I don't want to say he's humoring Ukraine, but for the most part, he knows that all he's got to do is bring in wham, his army, his navy, his everything, his military might, and they won't make it long. It's not that big of a country, and they didn't have a military before this happened. They had militias. They had the Azov battalion, militias that were just shooting their tanks back and forth, nothing really big. This is big now. And does NATO and the United States really want to go to war with Russia? That's what Putin has put on the table. Is it says, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to go to war? And if we're going to go to war, take Ukraine out of the equation. We're going to be looking at this in the next week or two, because now we're got to wait for NATO and the Biden administration to give the answer to Putin. And for Blumenthal and Graham to go over there, is no sense in this. They're, these Congress and senators that keep going over there for what? For what? I mean, moral support. They're not giving them anything. Zelensky is in touch with NATO for military might, so there's no purpose for our senators and congressmen to keep going over there. I think it's just a show. So that is it for today, folks. And I cut it right to the hour, I tell you. We have another show tonight, and the documents. And I'll go over a lot of different documents that I have. I can't show them to you. I can tell you about them, and it has a lot to do with the boys on the track and um, a lot of approving uh, the involvement with Bill and Hillary Clinton, not just into the boys on the track, but other things and other deaths that happened in our state. Um, so, with that, folks, I thank you all for watching, and please subscribe and hit the like button, hit the bell. And we did think we were going to be taken out today, but I guess they're going to wait um, until they can take a second look. And then we might be losing the Investigator News 2. So if you're on 2 and don't have Investigator News Network, please add it. Because if we disappear from 2, you'll know where to find us. We will be on the other news network. So with that, you guys have a wonderful Friday, and hopefully you'll come back and watch tonight. If you're over on Facebook, hit the follow and the like button, and we appreciate all of our viewers for watching. Um, so have a wonderful day, folks, and God bless.